Okay, let's get started, everyone. What I do normally is I give you a piece of cardstock and tell you what your name on it, because I'm very bad with names, but you're not sitting at desk, so it is not useful. Yeah, you can put it in your phone. You just hold it up so I can see who you are. Do anyway, why not? Let's handle some things. Can you give your name? That way I can remember your name at some point. While we talk.
Can write all enough.
Okay.
Then write everyone. You can write my name on my forehead.
So I'm gonna give you a sheet of paper, fold it in half, my one name, take it home. Job. Fold it in half, make a little thing, pretend you have a table in front of you. These are permanent markers, so don't do this, because it might end up through this onto your pants. All right, here, I'll hand those out. You get some marker on this side as well. Yeah. Take a piece of cardstock, take a marker. I'm not sure if I brought enough cardstock. If I didn't, then you don't get a name. Good morning this week. Let's see here. Who's all the cardstock I have?
Putting his name down.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there's two markers there. One to go one this way, one that way.
oh, sorry. Because we have.
Oh, yeah, I think that would be, yeah, like, I give the instructions, my bad. Yes, the papers are coming. Is there enough paper or no?
Keep on more.
I think we have enough. You're the same name? Guys, see how God provides? This is amazing. Everything God provides. Do you have one or no? You have a piece of paper? Are there any extras at the cardstock? We're working it out. We're figuring it out. Okay, as you get started soon, because we have just to be conscious of time. So welcome everyone. We can do two things at once, right? We can write our names and listen. Is that a possibility? Good group, very smart. Excellent. My name is Tamara Camel. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a minute. This is ministry design. So in this module, it's a 4-week module. We're here every Sunday for the next 4 weeks. And the purpose of the module is how to design a youth ministry from the ground up. So how to create a 1 month, a 1 year, a K-12 ministry curriculum. That's what this is about. All right. So we're here every week. We're going to be here between 2 to 3 hours. I tend to not go the full 3 hours. I tend to go 2 and maybe a little bit higher. We'll see. It's 3:15 today. We're hoping to get here by 5, a little, not much after 5. That's the plan. All right, just so you know. Okay, and that'll be the same every week. Me, my name again, Tamara Campbell. My job, I am a principal. I'm a secondary. I'm a high school principal. I've been a principal for many, many years. And I work for the Peel District School Board. Right now, I'm at the board office. So my title is Coordinating Principal of Student Success and Pathways Programming. So what I do is I create policy for the board to help kids in their pathways. So from grade 8 to grade 9, their pathways, and from grade 12 to post-secondary, and to help them choose their path, create their journeys. I also do a lot of work with the skilled trades and getting kids into the skilled trades if that's their interest. All right, that's kind of my job. That's who I am. That's my work side. I've been teaching Sunday school since I was 16 years old. I'm not going to say how old I am, but it's been decades that I've been teaching Sunday school. I've taught K-12 and postgraduate. Right now, I'm with SMSD with the chapel. That's where I am. That's where I call home. It's my home location. Thursday nights, I support the youth group on Thursday nights, and on Sundays, I teach grade 1 and 2. That's my current, I guess, portfolio, right? And I also do this, and I also help with Prepare to Serve downstairs, which is a fantastic, fantastic ministry. And it's very, very good. So what we'll do very quickly is, I mean, it's a lot of us, but really quickly, your name, your church, and if you serve, what grades you serve. All right, go ahead.
My name is Mark. I'm from this church here. I go to church. I'm here from this church. I don't serve it.
My name is Tina. I'm from Abusating, and I don't teach hostels.
You teach, it's not high school, but like, K-12 or any ministry that you do. Go ahead.
My name is Yassine. I'm from this church and Church of Nativity and I currently don't. My name is Verena. I'm from this church and I teach grade 6.
I'm Marlene, I'm also from this church, and I also serve grade 6.
I'm Yomi, I'm from here and Nativity, I do home the service.
Amazing. Good for you.
I'm Karen. I'm from this church and I serve grade 7 and 8 at St. Liverpool Grove.
So yeah, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm Joy, I'm from Nativity and Milton Church, and I serve in Milton grade 4, and also homeless.
Hi, I'm Robert, so I'm here in Nativity as well. I don't currently serve like any ministry except like homeless, but I have served previously before.
Great.
Sarah, I'm from this church and I currently serve grade 7 and 8.
I'm Matthew and I serve grade 2.
Which church?
Oh, yeah, I'm saying.
Downstairs.
I'm Sophia, I serve 7 and 8, grade 6 here.
I'm Nina from Nativity in Milton, and homeless service and airport rights for
And what's where?
Uber for airport, for church, Milton Church.
What's that?
There's a service they have to drive back and forth to the airport, which is for the church.
Oh, amazing. Okay, it's a new one. Good one. Great. I like hearing about new services that I can try to influence in our church. It's a nice one. So you go, you take things to the airport, they're gonna be transferred away, or what do you?
No, so you sign up and then you go pick up the church van. And
Okay.
you go pick up the passengers and you drop them off at the airport and then you drop off the church van again.
Also, because people that need a ride to the airport for whatever reason.
Exactly, yes.
Like it worked, like, yeah.
And so silly question, why can't they just get their own way there? What do you,
Well,
why is it a
the
service?
passenger will pay whatever they'll pay, but it all goes to church. So they just
Oh.
want volunteer
But
drivers.
like the money goes to church.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
It's
smart.
really nice.
Love that idea.
Yeah, so.
Okay, very smart. Whose name was that? It's
I
brilliant.
didn't know this was a.
That's a great name.
Milton. Creative.
No, okay.
My name is Farina. I attend here in St. Peter's de Paul, and I serve grade 3.
I'm
Verena?
also Verena, yeah. I attend here and I also serve grade 3.
Great, okay. My parents were founding members of this church. Let's just say that. So the original families of this church, many years ago, my parents were founding members of this church when it was still not even here. We used to be in a French school, actually, when this church started, we were in a French school cafeteria for a couple of years. This is 50 years ago. But yeah, you can see what God does. I have to talk about what I'm wearing. I have to apologize. I usually Sundays, this is kind of important to me. I don't know what I have to tell you, but I do. I play hockey on Sundays. I'm in a league. So I'm going from here to see my mom, from there straight to hockey. That's why I'm dressed in this stuff. So if you didn't notice, now you've noticed it. What I have to say. What's that?
No, say it looks nice.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, good.
So-
Don't worry. Say, where's important? Okay, we're not gonna ask people at home just because it's hard to hear sometimes, but people at home, same idea. We're here to learn about curriculum, but we're also here to learn about how to deliver and how to serve our kids, right? That's the important thing. These are the two texts that we'll be using. And I'll be jumping back and forth from the two texts. And I don't follow today we're doing chapter 1 and 2 from design and chapter 1 and 2 from program. That's what we're doing today. You haven't read them yet, you just got them. But I do jump around a lot, right? So I read through them and I kind of go through and I pick parts of it that I think are important to talk about in class, but a lot of it I don't talk about. So it is important that every week you read these. All right. So you're gonna have a little bit of extra homework this week because you're reading this week's and next week's. All right. At the end, depending on how far we get, I'll tell you what you need to read for next week. All right. In the back. Sorry, what's his name? Mina. Pardon? You're an admin, but hi, hello, Mina. How are you? I didn't say hi to you, Mina. Okay. So yeah, again, it is important that you read through these every week, and you have to come next week with these read. You gotta buy this because you didn't have them. But starting next week, come with them already read. All right. Over the next 4 weeks, the program is based on conversation. All right. If I talk the entire time, it'll be very boring. All right. You'll get what you put in. That's what I'll say from now. All right. I'll ask you questions. I'll ask you how to participate. I'll ask you how to answer questions. I'm going to ask you to disrupt. If here's something you don't like, tell me. If there's something you like, tell me. If there's something you think should be changed, tell me. All right, tell us. All right. Every year, I'll tell you, I've been doing this for I think 5 years now. I take more than I give. And that you'll find that generally in service. You take more than you give. And I learn more than I teach in this, but it's from what you guys bring into the next 4 weeks with me. All right. So keep that in mind. You have to participate. If you don't, it's going to be a long 4 weeks. All right. So that right now. Okay. Not about me. What did I miss? Of course, based on participation, last year help. All right. Assessment, there used to be a major, an assessment, the assessment really is participation based. I will, check your participation, and the assessment is just based on how we participate in the class, how we do the readings. There are activities in the book. We'll spend some time here doing activities from the book, but the majority of activities in the book you'll do on your own. All right, we're not gonna spend time here doing these, but for you to do on your own, it's not worth your time, but we sit here, watch you and make, and fill in worksheets. All right, so those you do as you read the books, all right? And they are good activities, they're good books, I like them, it's good, it's a good curriculum. All right, any questions so far? All right. As you read through these, if there's anything, we read with purpose. We talk to the kids about when you read the Bible, read the Bible with purpose. You read when you're alert, with understanding and with purpose, right? So same with these. So if you read something that you find interesting, all right, we talk about wow moments in education. Wow, I didn't know that, or wow, that was neat, or I didn't think about that before. I want you to write that down and bring it with you, and then next week we share it. If someone has a thing, oh, I read this and I found it very interesting, or I didn't agree with this, or this was very cool. I want you to bring, if you can, a wow moment. And I'm not gonna call all of you, but I'll call some of you to share any moments you might have from the readings that you thought were interesting. Okay, good. Wow moments. Turn to the person beside you. You've all been together for a while now, yeah? Which module is this? And which number? So, who is it in module? So you only had one module before? Is that 4 weeks? Who did that one? Dang it, why would I have to follow them? Okay. Yeah, they're very good. Turn to the person beside you. What was the most memorable youth group thing that you remember from when you were kids? All right. Think of something, take a minute to the person beside you. What's a youth group activity, a lesson, something that when you think back, what do you remember as being something that's memorable from when you were in K-12 youth group or some kind of Sunday school? All right. I'll give you about 4 minutes. Go ahead. Share this with the person beside you. Something you find memorable. All right. You can remember. Try to remember. Something you find memorable.
I'll share with you. Nobody has.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. Wait, I remember.
Worker, can you hear it? Tell me where you, church, and if you serve, what grades?
I serve near St. Mary, grade 4.
Okay, who else is new? Someone else is new. In the gray jacket. Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Wafi. I'm from this church and I currently do serve.
Okay, and welcome. And okay, Richmond Hill, it's quite the drive, yeah? That's okay, no problem. Is that it? Is anybody else okay later? No worries, no worries. Okay, it's something you remember from anyone want to share? Something you remember? Interesting. Someone has to. Come on, guys.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes, first.
You said field trips, yes.
Any specific field trip you remember?
Like a lot of the valley trips. I think there was one we went to Montreal when we were like grade 7. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, wait for first. Okay.
So I had like my Sunday school was in Egypt, and we had what'd you have? Who left? Sorry, we're fine. But I remember we'd had Kelua, And then we have like actual trips where it was fun. So seeing the difference between how seriously you take like do you know Khilwan?
Explain.
It's like a like quiet time. Like you go and it's a quiet time, like when you go to the like monastery or
Mhm.
convent here and it's quiet. And then we had other times where it was like the valley, more like fun.
Yep.
So seeing the difference between taking that quiet time and actually praying and like having alone time, kind of like helps you. And then also having fun with your friends in church, like seeing that difference was nice.
Thank you. Nadine?
Actually quite similar. I mean, I moved here when I was in grade 3. And one of my first like big memories in church, I remember in grade 5 and 6. One of my servants started introducing quiet time to us and got us those little notebooks. And I still think I actually have it. And then as we grew up, I think I started becoming more attached to field trips. And one of the big ones is going to the Bible on stage. I think that was like,
Bible on stage, what's that?
yeah, it's in like Pennsylvania, like
I know that.
they're like a Protestant group, but they put like a really big show.
Yeah.
We went to Jesus and King Samson,
Nice.
and they had like this really big theatrical performance, and like they brought like animals and everything.
Really?
It was very cool. It was really good.
Nice. All right, anybody else? Yes. Yeah.
I remember in Egypt when we first started Muharram,
Yep.
it was not in Plaza, it was in Ternate.
Oh, really?
The church.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I used to go extra days in summer, with my friends, have fun and learn. Like, I remember a lot of taking areas. It's like some kind of PlayStations.
Yep.
And also, my servants used to take us, the small groups, 3 or 4, to go to the home, like, to go to those,
Yep.
yeah, so that, like, this was amazing.
Thank you. What's your name?
Hi.
No.
Here.
Pierre, hi Pierre, how are you?
Good.
What church do you go, are you from?
Hi.
Which church do you attend? Main church? Here? Do you serve or no?
Yeah.
What grade?
Grade 3.
Welcome. Thank you. We did that with everybody, so we just pretty much. All right, yeah, I have many experiences, but when I was, it's funny, I was actually a servant at the time, but we went to California to the monastery. And I was in my 20s, that was the first time I was introduced to quiet time, oddly enough, right, in my 20s. And it was very moving. We were in the monastery, we did, the monk did a little talk, he said, now go, and you have an hour, an hour? Who's gonna put an hour? But I remember the hour flying by, and I remember this idea of quiet time. And it was really was life-changing. So that was one of my experiences, and I was actually older at the time, right? A lot of such experiences, a lot of them are based on trips, not on day-to-day Sunday school, right? Day-to-day Sunday school is super important, right? But we have to do other things as well, right? When we plan curriculum, right? Part of our curriculum needs to have days aside for trips, right? And when we plan curriculum, because I'll keep going back to curriculum, and what's important with curriculum is, so in chapter in our curriculum, our yearly curriculum, we already have pre-planned dates that we plan in September for the year that will be trips, right? And we have them planned now. So our next one is December 20th. We don't know what we're doing yet, but there's going to be a trip, right? Because a lot of times the kids need to see you outside of that classroom setting, because that's where connections happen with the kids most of the time, right? It happens in the classroom as well, but it often happens outside in other situations. That's where you really get relationships with the kids. Oftentimes is in these other settings where it's not a structured setting, right? Let's talk about the church, and Sunday school is, I'm going to say, a microcosm, or it's a little church, right? The rules of the church are the same as the rules of Sunday school. The setup of the church is the same as the setup of Sunday school, all right? Where instead of the church talking with the entire congregation, we're talking about our youth or our kids. All right. So we talk about 3 things when it comes to this. But the most important thing, and if you take anything out of the next 4 weeks, take anything, the number one most important thing about everything you do is prayer. Number 1, pray for your kids, each one by name. If you're serving, have them pray for them by name. Pray for your service, right? Every day before you prepare a lesson, you're gonna help me with the lesson. Before you do the lesson, You know, Sunday, I'm doing a lesson at 11:30, at 11:25, dear Lord, send an angel down to speak for me. Right? It is never us doing anything. It is God through us. The second I think that it's me, that's pride and I shouldn't be serving. Right? It's about God working through me. I am a tool that God uses. Right? So number one is always prayer. That is the key to everything we do. All right? Did I hammer that home? That was good. All right. Amazing. Amazing. Ecclesia. Any idea what that means? Ecclesia. So we talk about community. All right. So we're talking about community, character, and commission. Community, we talk about the family. Ecclesia is actually a Greek word, and it means called out. Called out. We are called out to be different. All right. Can someone read Ephesians 2:19? Don't have it there. Anyone? Whoever has it, go ahead.
Well, I'm still pulling it up.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Go ahead.
219.
This is not on anymore. Oh, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Now therefore you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God. But having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building being fitted together grows into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you are also being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit.
Thank you. All right, great. So the first thing is a community, right? A community of young, so this is not the church, now this is our Sunday school, this is our youth group. A community of young people called out by God to live as his people, right? That is who we are serving. That is who we are serving. And then character. Revelation 21:9. Let that one open. 21:9. Revelation 21:9.
Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride of the Lamb's wife."
Thank you. Right. Youth ministry design must allow the opportunity for instruction, service, and worship. This is part of building the character or the bride of Christ. All right. Remember, Christ is the head, the church is the bride of Christ. Sunday school, we are the bride of Christ. All right. So we have to have this opportunity for instruction, service, and worship. Finally, the body, Romans 12:4 and 5. Someone get that? Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Behind you.
For as we have many members in one body, but all the members do not have the same function. So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another.
Thank you. All right. So the idea that God actively leads us, super important. All right. So keep these three in mind as we talk about youth service. All right. The idea of the community, the character, and the commission. All right. And again, Christ is the center. Christ is the center of everything that we do. All right. Good so far. Anyone read this book? Kind of old, but it's amazing. Steve Covey, he writes a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In fact, this one called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Youth. But it's a really, really good book. Nothing to do with Christianity at all, but it's good. And he talks about 7 habits of people who are highly effective. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first thing first, think win-win, seek first understand, then be understood, synergize and sharpen the saw. The one that I want to focus on is number 2. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. All right, beginning with the end in mind. In anything we do, it's kind of just a life lesson, right? We want to begin with the end in mind. Why is that important? Why is it important to know the end?
You know what your goals are?
You know your goals are. What else? Yeah.
Oh, you know what you're working towards. Yeah.
You know what you're working toward, right? Anything else? It's about direction. Starting with the end in mind sets direction, right? One of the things I do in my job, in my job as a principal, in my job in the board, is I help grade 7s and 8s choose a career path. All right? It can change. We don't care if it changes, but we want them by 7 and 8 to have an idea of a career path. Why is that important? For grade 7 or 8 to know kind of an idea of where they want to go. Why is that important?
Gives you direction for your courses in high school.
It gives direction for courses in high school, right? It gives you, if I'm in grade 8 and I said that I want to be a plumber, right? Plumbers need grade 11 math. They have to have it to go into become a tradesperson as a plumber. So if I'm sitting in grade 10 math and I'm bored and don't like it, but I know that I want to be a plumber, that'll give me a little bit of direction and a little bit of resilience to get through that program, right? We want direction because direction gives us a lead or a way to go, all right? The same thing happens with youth service, right? If I'm serving my youth, I need to have a direction of where I'm taking them. Because if not, what am I doing? How do I know that what I'm doing is helping them if I don't have a direction or a goal? So I need to start with the end in mind. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what that means, right? That a great way to begin with the end in mind is to develop a personal mission statement and to use that statement to guide all that we do, right? So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about a mission statement because it's kind of important, all right? And what a mission statement is, all right? So basically, a mission statement is a statement of the purpose of a company, organization, or person. There are people that have personal mission statements, all right? Its reasons for existing are a declaration of an organization's core purpose and focus that normally remains unchanged over time. All right. Does your youth group have a mission statement? I'm asking you a question. Do you actually have one or not? That's okay. Most don't. Right? We're going to talk about that today because, and you kind of do already. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Welcome. Me and her mom grew up, by the way, together. We were very close friends. Just so that you know. Yeah. You can move it. No one wants to sit here. They don't like me. It's fine. It's okay. We're doing that. Name, church, and if you serve what grades.
Christina, I serve here and I serve grade 2.
Amazing. Cool. Her mom's amazing. She's the best. Sidebar. So we'll talk about this. You actually do have a mission statement, you just don't know it. We'll talk about that in a minute. We should have a proper one written down somewhere. All right. But mission statements, they are important and they're usually short and to the point. I've given a few examples. The best mission statements are clear, concise, and useful. And they inform and focus and guide the company or organization. All right. That's the job of a mission statement. So that anyone in the organization or outside the organization knows the purpose of that organization. Okay. And everything we do goes through that mission statement to make sure that it makes sense. I have a few here. Human society celebrates animals, confronts cruelty. 4 words, right? From that, we know the job of humanity. We know why they exist. Anyone outside the company, inside the company knows why the human society exists. Got it? Good so far. I have a few of them just because. Your board to instill success, confidence, and hope in all students. All right. So anything that I do in my job has to go through this filter. Is this activity, is this policy, is this program going to help to achieve this mission statement? If not, it's scrapped and do something different. It helps focus our work. Get the idea? Alrighty, a few more, just because. Uber, we ignite opportunities by setting the world in motion. Sure. What is that? Animal. Okay, Smithsonian to infuse to increase and the increase and diffusion of knowledge. Smithsonian more for fun to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Give wings to people and ideas. It's an energy drink. Okay, no. To make delicious, feel-good moments easy for everyone. Kind of relates, right? What is the purpose? Important question. What is the purpose of youth ministry? And we're going to carry this through the next 4 weeks. What is the purpose? Any ideas? What's the purpose of youth ministry? Why do we have Sunday school? Why do we have youth group? Yes,
The big is to God.
take kids to God, excellent, absolutely right. What else? Pardon? To establish community, very good, a community in Christ, excellent. What else?
To support their growth in the church.
Support the growth of the church. You're all leading to one thing. I'm gonna give you it's a Bible verse. I'll give you, Jesus told it to us. What our purpose is. He said it to us. Pardon?
Be holy.
To be holy, yes. That's us to be holy. How about our youth?
Well,
What is our,
that-
what is,
that
what
be
is
holy.
to be holy God? You're all saying the same thing. I'm looking for an answer that,
Teaching.
that's part of it, part of it. What did God tell the disciples as he was, what was his final, here, give it away me.
They make disciples.
Oh, who said it? I usually bring, guys, the fastest starting, I had chocolate, oh, I forgot it. Bring gift prizes. Matthew 28:19. Can someone find that? So what's your name? Pardon? Sydney, what church? You serve?
Yeah.
What grades? Grade one, excellent. I teach grade one. They're the best. I do 1 and 2s. They're very fun. Okay, someone find it? Matthew 28:19. Who has it? Go ahead.
Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you. What's that called? There's a term. What do they call that? Given it, it's so important to give it a title. What's it called?
Evangelizing.
Sorry, yeah, it's evangelizing, but what do they, this thing that Jesus said, this actual verse, what's it called? Any idea? It's called the Great Commission. Have you heard that? The Great Commission. If you ever hear the Great Commission was right before Jesus went to heaven. He did the Great Commission. A commission is an order, right? It's an actual military term, right? And Jesus, the Great Commission is Matthew 28:19. So if anyone says, if you're doing some kind of sure if you go one day and someone says, what is the Great Commission? It's that, right? That is our purpose in Sunday school. Our purpose is to make disciples, just like God told us. So everything that we do in Sunday school has to go through that filter. Is this going to help make disciples? You have to ask yourself that question before you plan a Sunday school lesson, a theme, a trip, an activity. In this activity, am I going to help make disciples? And if I'm not, I should do something different. All right, keep that in mind. What's your name? Miriam, what church do you go to? Do you serve Sunday school or no? Okay.
Sarah.
Sarah, this church too as well or no?
Yeah.
Do you serve?
Yeah.
What grade?
Grade 4 and grade 3.
Amazing. Welcome.
Thank you.
You guys, you separate boys and girls, right?
Grade 5.
After grade 5, they're separated?
Okay.
Okay.
Or trips are together.
Yeah,
But,
together, but Sunday school itself? Yeah, I like it.
Depends on the church. Yeah.
Pardon?
Depends on the church.
Yeah, St. Venus doesn't separate.
Same, I know, no, St. Mary's does.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't, we're too small to separate. We don't do ourselves as well, I think. Okay, so, I just want this is just a little bit of an aside. There's a book called Essentialism. The way of essentialism involves doing less but better, so you can make the highest possible contribution. We fall into this trap of thinking that we should do a ton of different things all the time for everybody. All right, it's better to be essential and to choose a few activities and do them well than do 1,000 activities and do them poorly. Right. So again, as you're planning your curriculum and as you're planning your year, right, what is essential? And what do we want to do that'll help us make disciples? It doesn't need to be a million things. All right. Depending on the number of servants you have, the availability, the time constraints, right? You don't have to have a trip every week. You don't have to have a trip every month. Right. If your service allows for a trip every quarter, that's okay. As long as it's a good trip and it's planned well. Right. If you can only do a retreat once a year or twice a year, that's okay, as long as they're done well. What you don't want is a retreat every month and it's not organized and the topics aren't organized and the kids are running around and they come back worse than they start. Right? Just keep that in mind. And this depends on your service and the number of people you have in your service. All right? And just like in business, you often have one person doing the majority of the work. We can't have that. All right. Again, we're volunteering our time. It's for Christ, but you can't rely on one person to do a million things. Right. So be essential and do what you do well. Right. And remember, God will multiply the things you do. All right? So far, so good? I have an activity. Do you want to do it or not? Or I printed some sheets out. Do you want to do an activity for 10 minutes? It's about mission statements, about how to make them. Well, let's wait till let's see if we have time. If we have time, we'll do an activity about mission statements. I have another one that we'll do later too if we have time. We'll see. Okay. As so we've talked about what a mission statement is, what direction is, and by the way, what's our purpose? Make disciples. That's not a mission statement. It's not a mission statement. That's a purpose. All right. The purpose guides the mission statement. All right. Later on, sorry, like this, I think it's chapter 3 and 4. We talk about aims, mission, vision, values, and aims. Right, where we delve deeper into how to reach the purpose and how to have kids reach the purpose. Right, but don't confuse a purpose with a mission statement. They're different things. Okay, keep that in mind. And if we have time, we'll do this activity. Right, but as you are developing your curriculum, again, we're curriculum development, there are 5 practices of the church or 5 practices of the service. All right, that are important, and they have to include in any curriculum, in any good curriculum. All right. Sorry, we're on. I think this is on page 2. Let me tell you what pages we're on. Go ahead. Go back a little bit. I can tell you where we're getting this stuff from. This is from page 2 of Youth Ministry Design. I should tell you, right? So this part here. Is from page 2 of this, just so that you know, you'll see it there, right? And there's more. It goes through all this business. Okay. Sorry. Now on page 2 of this, jobs programming, right? The 5 practices of a church. You have to open it now, just so you know, so you can find it after. All right. Discuss mission. Teaching, right? That's one. I'm gonna ask you, what so teaching is one. Let's see if you're the rest. There are 5 practices that we have to have. And if you already looked and ruined it, then don't tell me. But if you remember, if you didn't tell me, what are 5 things we teach our kids? One is teaching the Bible, teaching them about the Word of God. Anything else? What else do you think them help them to learn? What do you think? How to pray. Excellent. That's one of them. That's the next one. Yeah. We'll get you in order. Okay. What's another part of youth service?
Living out Christianity in the world. And
Practicality. Yeah, that's probably teaching. I'll give that one as a teaching. What else? Anything else?
Like services.
Yes,
Like-
service is one of them, but that's not the next one. I can't say. Yeah.
Bible reading.
That I would say that's part of teaching. Yeah.
Kind of like interact kindly with each other.
Yep. So actually, yes. More about that one. We bring them together. We talk about the church being a community, right? I'll go with that one. And the idea of fellowship, right? Fellowship is one. What else? There's 2 more. Something else. There's this often gets confused with prayer. Someone gets confused with prayer sometimes. When we do Tamid, we do what's that? Praise or
Worship.
worship. All right, and the last one we have is mission. Right? Those are the 4 things that, or the 5 things, or the 5 practices that we have to incorporate in our service. This is taken right out of the book. So we'll use these definitions. So teaching, developing understanding of God's word, its relevance and application, developing a relationship of reliance upon God and intimacy with Him, developing a relationship with others, marked by mutual trust, caring, and accountability, that fellowship. I put a little asterisk there because we have to be careful with fellowship. And I got this from a word of Shoy actually. We oftentimes think that if their friends are from the church, we're fine. Hands off, they're gonna be great. They're best friends from the church, it's okay. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. We can't just assume that if their friends are from the church, that they're gonna have great influences and be doing fine and they'll be great, right? We still have to instill in all of them right values and right morals. It's important that their friends share their morals and values. The problem is sometimes their friends from church do not share the same morals and values. So we can't just, me as a parent, right? If my son is going over to a friend's house who's not from the church, I ask who their parents are and what they do and how are they doing and how do they spend their afternoons and their evenings. And if it's a friend from here, I say, just go. I can't do that. It's all the same. We can't just assume that because they're from church, they're going to be a good influence. Keep that in mind, all right? We have to make sure that our kids are hanging around the right people, no matter who they are. That's just a little side note. Worship, developing of an appreciation of the person of God and the actions of God, and mission, outworking of the other four practices through which believers share God's message through word and deed. All right. Turn to the person beside you. You can go to threes if you want. Which ones do we do the best? Which ones do we need some support with? Or which ones don't we do the best? Which ones do we struggle with a little bit? All right. Person beside you, 5 minutes. Which ones are we great at? Which ones could use a little help? What?
I feel like we do two things. Yeah, that's good.
I think we need to. You want to start? Start, go ahead.
One of the things that we talked about, like on working on, was prayer. So I think a lot of the time, like, especially the younger age groups, like they struggle with like understanding the importance of prayer and like they dread like standing up for prayer every single time. So I was thinking of like other ways that we could teach them like how to pray, like not only like the Agpeya, but like also from their heart and like connecting with God. So in Kenya, like we sat in a circle and we all like shared like our own like prayers from our heart. And like they came naturally because like they weren't like written down or prepared from before. And it was a really nice like experience. Like we had candles, we sat with our servants and like the bishop. And it changed my perspective on prayer because like we never really like sat and did that with a group of people like growing up. So I think if we introduced that like earlier on, like it would make it a lot easier for like children to like have a different perspective or like to enjoy like connecting with God in that way. So that's one thing that I think we can work on. I think something that we do really well is mission. I think like there's so many like missions to get involved in. Like we have so many homeless like services. We have worship team like for singing. We have like even like people that can like participate in mix and like those things to like so anyone can get involved. And I think like our church does a great job of like letting anyone like participate, even if they have like small role or big role or like so yeah, that's what we kind of do.
Yeah, that's usually the opposite of what I get, by the way. Usually it's the opposite. That's
Oh, really?
We'll talk more about that. Somebody else want to say something? Who else wants to share?
Yeah, we were saying, it is the opposite. Honestly, we struggle with fellowship and mission. With mission, I think, evangelizing or like living out our faith in schools can be difficult. Like in church, is when we switch on like our Christianity, and then in school we're not as outspoken. Fellowship too, I feel like we can be stuck in our cliques and our groups and not go out of our way to make friendships with others.
Yeah, but the fellowship came up over on that side as well.
We also had a very different opinion than everybody else. We said that we think our church does fellowship really well. I think there's a lot of different opportunities like different activities that the church plans and sets up, especially for the youth to get involved in. Maybe you're just coming from like a biased perspective. Like I think uni service does it really well, at least in my opinion. Like there's so many things that happen at Nativity on a weekly basis, or like if they know that everyone's back home for like Christmas or anything, there's always something happening at Nativity. So I think we do fellowship really, really well in that sense.
Thank you.
Kind of similar, I think with our like grade 6 age, I think fellowship and teaching we do well, but our biggest thing is that we tend to focus on like how can kids enjoy and have fun and listen rather than the prayer and the worship aspect. And I think that kind of trickles into junior high and then in high school. At least I remember when I was in high school, like my high school phase, I think all I was looking forward to coming to church was just to see my friends. I think it was only until university that I was kind of like, how can I be intimate with God? And I think with us teaching the kids now, we're able to get that word across and like give them the application, but for them to actually go out and fulfill the application is where we're kind of struggling.
So when you say fulfill, you're talking about one.
So going from teaching to mission,
Gotcha.
like we can say the words and we can tell them, we do these activities in class, but then if we see them like talking together in trips or whatever, then they start kind of going into like their own groups and they're not actually doing what we said just last week of Sunday school.
Yeah, yes, okay. What else? Enough from place. Yeah, we find that there are a couple of things. I often hear that we do teaching well. We do, when it comes to Bible reading, going over the stories of the Bible, explaining the fact, why these stories are important, what we learn from these stories. We do that very well. I get mixed messages from the other four. The other four, we often get, we do this for a number of years now, we often get that the first one we're good at, the others, some will say yes, some will say no. Why is the first one always the one that we have the easiest time doing? Why is that one always the easiest? Or most of the time? Why do you think?
We have something to follow, like outline.
Yeah, it's the easiest one to actually do, to the question, right? It's the easiest one for me to do is pull out a Bible verse, right? Read the Bible verse, here's the story, here's where you learn and go, right? Yes.
I also think we have a lot of resources when it comes to teaching, like there's like curriculums that like our Sunday school services set us up with that we can base our lessons on. There's so much like sermons and talks and previous lessons that we've got in the past that we can base it on, but everything else is based off what we've already learned and kind of just putting it into practice. Like there's no book on how to do fellowship, or there's no like curriculum resource on how I can teach the kids to get along. So that's, I think, where the difficulty comes from.
I think also Sunday school, like, it has been established as like its own thing for every region all the time. So it's just easier to do it because like you sort of go and you know what you're doing because you have like, I guess, the history of it.
Yep.
The rest of the stuff though, like, I don't want to say it's kind of new, but it would be like it's new to add like the be actionable in it, I guess, if that makes sense.
It does, it does. I'll tell you what it comes down to basically is the last four, I will say, are applications of the first one, right? We take our teaching, but our teaching has to apply to prayer, fellowship, worship, and mission. Someone talked about application already. I heard someone say it, right? The issue is the application. How do we get them going from teaching to actually applying what they've learned, right? That's the hard part, right? That's where prayer comes in, sort of, right? What was today's, let's see how smart you guys are. What was today's gospel about? Raise your hand. What's today's gospel about? I'll give you a hint. The same one last week. Yeah.
The parable of the sower.
Parable of the sower, right? Our job in Sunday school is to plant seeds. That is our job. We're making disciples, right? We struggle with prayer, we struggle with fellowship, we struggle with worship, we struggle with mission, right? We have, and the answer is we have to improve on all of them. Right, and we're gonna talk later on in another week about the cycle, how we constantly improve. But the idea is that our job is to plant seeds, right? And to create a fertile soil for those seeds to grow. Right? We plant the seeds in teaching, fellowship, hopefully, and mission, hopefully, is where we make the soil so the seed can grow. All right, and that's why fellowship is so important. That's why mission is so important, right? And the problem is with the bottom ones is it takes more effort, right? It's a lot harder to plan a trip to the valley than to plan a Sunday school lesson on the prodigal son. Much harder, much more working parts, right? But the trip to the valley is where you get the fellowship, right? Where you can really talk about prayer and worship, right? And then mission, hopefully, right, will find its way. And churches, I'll tell you, just in the last 5 years, we've got a lot better at incorporating mission into the function of the church, right? Lots of churches have mission and outreach that wasn't there until 5 years ago. When did you go to Kenya? How long ago? When was Kenya? How long ago did you go?
A year ago.
A year ago? We went 2 years ago. It was, yeah. Planning a mission trip, especially if you have to get on an airplane, forget it. Hours and hours and hours and hours. But it is life-changing. Life-changing, right? I also want to talk about mission trips and worship and fellowship. We have a monastery in Perth. We have a monastery here. The problem with mission trips to Kenya is most people can't afford it at the end of the day, right? It's a very select few who can participate in that kind of mission, right? We want to really try to plan missions for everyone. So a homeless service. We have a homeless service at chapel every 2 weeks. Go downtown, give sandwiches to the homeless. Zero cost, right? Anyone can participate. The last thing you want is to create a mission service and a kid saying, I want to go, but I can't because I can't afford it, right? So the trips to Kenya and Congo, to Mexico, things like that are up, they have to happen, but we have to have more mission trips that are zero cost or minimal cost, right? It can't be only the privilege that go with it that experience these things. Let's keep that in mind. Yeah? All right. Amazing. We went through this again multiple times. All right. But the idea is that when we do our curriculum, we have to make sure that we are hitting all of these. All right. Fellowship, we do quite a good job of fellowship, I feel. We do lots of outings, lots of experiences with the kids. We should do as many as we can. Fellowship is so important. I feel like worship, we do struggle with a little bit. Because worship and prayer really are internal, right? It's us planting the seed. Our Protestant friends do a fantastic job of worship, right? That being said, there's issues with that as well, with the way, if you look at a Baptist or Protestant worship, when you go in, it's like literally a concert, right? And it's very moving, right? Where our worship is, the yeah. Our worship is our opening service with the kids, right? That's where we have to worship. Sometimes we don't do a great job of those because it's okay, quiet. I want to hear you guys sing. I want to hear you sing louder than you. Let me see what you guys are doing. Come on, guys, stop talking. But again, it plants the seed. It plants the seed of worship. And worship really is something internal. Prayer is something internal. One thing we do with our little kids, grade 1 and 2, when it comes to prayer, prayer is personal, right? It's a personal talk with God. We have all the kids starting in grade 1. We go through, and it depends how big your class is. My class is 8 kids, so it's easy, right? Where I say, choose a saint and choose something to pray for. And so they say, the intercession of Saint Mary, help my mom. And the next one says the intercessions of Saint Maximus, help my friend, right? And we go through that every week. So they get the idea of an intercessor and a prayer. If you have 30 kids in your class, you can't do that. It'll take an hour, right? But you could choose 8 every week, right? And it just personalizes the prayer for the kids because we struggled with that a lot and we found that it was very helpful. And we do it, we do it grade 1, right up until grade 8, where they have an intercessor every week. And again, our classes are small, so they can all do it. But as it grows, you would maybe have a schedule where every week 8 kids would choose a saint and a prayer, right? And each one takes 5 seconds, boom, 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 and then someone finishes off the prayer and we're done, right? And that might be a way to help personalize the prayer for the kids. Just a thought. All right. Is your mission meeting needs of the kids? All right. The idea of the needs, we're going to talk about this really quickly. Kids have many needs, right? And we often focus on getting the curriculum out. We have to make sure that they know the Bible. We have to make sure they know all these stories. Are we dealing with the issues that they actually struggle with? Right? Are we actually dealing with problems that kids today are dealing with? Right? And some of them are difficult, but we have to really know what it is. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing is the ministry should never, ever, ever compete against the family. Right? Let's make sure that the family and the ministry are together and are working together. The family, and this is something that I think we have to work on, including the parents in the service. Right? How do we include parents in the ministry? So it's not just the parents drop their kids off once a week for an hour and pick them up. What can we do to help? And we're talking about every week. What can we do to help incorporate the family as part of the service? Because this is kind of important. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna actually talk to Heather again. Find someone new if you want. What are some examples of programming that supports rather than competes with family? What are some things that you've done in your church that you can think of that will help support families being part of the service? What are some things you can do? Go ahead. Talk to each other. Give me 5 minutes. What are some things? Have you done? Do you think should be done? If you're parents of kids, what would you like to have be doing? I want an example.
My kids are from,
It's what. And we actually established how we have to come and pray with our kids, and this is the best gift to give them. This was a new idea for me, and we started to come to visitors every morning, like 30. And the second example is the reach out. When they came to our house, we opened the Bible, we read, and you have to study the Bible. How to say it's a historical meaning and it's spiritual meaning. This helped us to read and study afterward.
So a parent night and the outreach. Someone else?
Online, someone said, family movies, hosted in church.
Family movies hosted in church. Yeah. Okay. So like a family night where the whole family comes to a movie. Yep. Okay. What else? Yes. Here.
So in junior high, they replaced kind of opening session with attending Vespers. And they try to like encourage the parents not to just drop off their kids, but to actually attend Vespers with them.
Great. Very good. What else? Yeah, outreach was one of them.
I feel like smaller things also, like when a kid is getting picked up and they're with their parent and interact with them while they're together, like the kids are usually behaving a little bit differently. So like you can like encourage the kid by saying, oh, like so and so was so good today, and then start like smaller conversations like that while the parent is around.
It's great. Great. Anyone else?
So something we do in our Sunday school classes, at the end of every class, we ask whoever was giving the lesson to actually message on our parents' group chat, like, hey, today's lesson was about kaza. This is what we learned, this is what the kids learned, and like, please encourage your child to incorporate kaza into their life, and like, whatever, and it just keeps the parents like in the loop, and yeah.
That's great. So we've seen similarly, we have a parent chat, and the memory verse goes on the parent chat every week, and the kids know that if they have the memory verse memorized the next week, they get a little prize, right? And so that incorporates the parents are involved with helping the kids with the memory verse.
I was actually talking with my group about how my grade 7 and 8s are at a point where they like really don't like their parents. And so it's really hard to include their family because I almost feel like as much as the kids don't want to come to Sunday school, they don't want to be with their parents more, so they'd rather come to Sunday school than be with their parents.
Okay.
So they end up coming and then like, yeah, they're miserable, but they're better off, you know? So
They're not actually miserable.
yeah,
They're just high,
they
just
just, yeah,
kids.
it's just their face.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I feel like for us, it's like really hard. Like it's something that like our service has been struggling with, or like we're seeing that we can't include their parents, or like a lot of the kids are very verbal about like, oh, like me and my mom can't see eye to eye on this. Like we disagree about everything. There's nothing that we agree on, and all that stuff. And like I was even telling them our group chat, we had a group chat where it was parents, youth, and servants. And the kids didn't talk like whatsoever. So then we made a group chat with youth and servants, and that group chat popped off. Like, you know, they're so much more active on it, whatever. So, but like at the same time, like now that I'm reading this question, I'm like, did we make the wrong move by making our group chat with?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So now we kind of like push the parents to the side, but yeah, I don't know.
But
We're okay with that.
yeah, no, it's okay to have, it's okay to have two group chats. It's okay to
Yeah.
have one with the kid without the parents, and one with the parents, and they're very different conversations, absolutely. What we're gonna talk, the next slide is about meeting the needs of the kids. Grade 7 to 10, kids are the worst.
Yeah.
Grade 7 to 10, and I say that in the most loving way possible. But the hormones, they're learning who they are. That's when the most fights with parents happen. That's when the most, I'm gonna say, bad decisions happen. 7 to 10 is, God bless you. It's a tough group. It's a tough group. We'll talk about it more in a minute.
No, actually, I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, with our grade 6s right now, we're kind of seeing a similar thing too. We're trying to get the parents involved in like, oh yes, group chats and like talking to them and outreach, and I think that's great, but the biggest thing that like we were talking about was that there's completely different generations. Like when I was in like high school, even grade 7 and 8, like my parents were not involved in like anything. Like the typical Egyptians were like, they drop you off, they're like, you're in the Kenisa, it's fine.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now we're seeing the impact of like the kids who have their parents supporting them at home and like actually instilling the spiritual life in them versus the kids who are just kind of like it is over and that's it. Like you go to church, that's your fill for the week and then that's it. So the different generations are kind of, we don't know how to cater to them, especially because we have different kids within the class. And then I think all of these kinds of examples that we were saying now, like, are very catered towards the younger kids, like between grades 1 to 6. But once you reach the grade 7 to high school, like as Karen was saying, they hate their parents.
It's a strong word. They don't hate, they just don't want to be around them. Yeah, they don't hate them, they just don't like them.
You don't want to, but kind of just want to be with your friends.
So as Abdullah said in the course, during adolescence, they act as if they don't need us, but they actually need our support the most. So this is what it is. At home, he's very intimate with me. He speaks to me about everything, but in school or in church, he never speaks to me. He sees me and I pass. They learn from us, but in secret.
I was just gonna say, like, one thing that I found was really good, like, during that, like, weird stage, like, when I was growing up, was, like, when we'd go to Abuna Dawood and we'd have the Q&As, because it's, like, a whole, like, room, like, it's a big room with a bunch of parents, and, like, our age would usually attend, and, like, we'd ask a lot of those questions that were hard, and so would the parents, so you're kind of, like, hearing both sides, and it was, like, not, like, a direct, like, you know, like, a lot of people's parents would be there and like the kids as well. So I feel like that was a really good way of like hearing different answers from like a priest, you know, or like someone who knows like how to direct you in the right way. So like I feel like that's something that we need more, but like it's definitely not like the solution to everything, but it is like something good like to incorporate. I don't know.
I did, who's from Nelson Church? Anyone from Nelson Church? Nelson Church? I did two talks at Milton Church actually. About setting expectations for your kids. So one way that they're involving the parents, they have parent nights. One for one for 6, 7, 8, and one for high school, right? And one of the talks was how to have a relationship with your child, and the other talk was how to set reasonable expectations for your child, right? And these are things that the parents asked for. So there was a survey done. What do you want us to discuss? And yeah, and I want to be very, very clear. The kids never stop loving their parents. They love them, right? But 7 to 10, they're just too cool.
Yeah.
Right? And they have attitudes, right? Because again, they're trying to develop who they are. They're trying to develop their own personality. And you know, I'm my own person in the world, and the hormones are a disaster, right? And we talk to parents about this fact that between grade 7 and 10, they change. And they're trying to understand themselves, and that often leads to fights and arguments and discipline and things like that, right? Well, the church is so important, right? Because if the parents says it to them, they'll say no. If the Sunday school teacher says it to them, they'll probably say yes, and they'll agree, right? Where they're kind of against parents a lot of the time, but sometimes an outside source will give them the direction.
This was super ironic because last night my brother's in high school.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see as a single that perspective and also the perspective at home. And just last night, I had a parents' night where they had a previous workshop where all of the kids, especially now, I was listening to this all day, it's needed now actually in a position that is much more than to me. For example, as you don't want to be exposure to social media, at least when they're younger. They're facing a lot more pressure, which sometimes makes them less inclined to even open up. So, and sometimes it can be their servants, but often they're not their parents, either out of fear, or the stigma. So they have a lot of kids, and honestly right now, they struggle in high school because I think sometimes we have to forget that their parents are parenting for the first time too, they also have their own struggles. And so they're going to have just that college because they're not going to understanding. And then we brought all the anonymous discussions with parents and with parenting. And so when mom came home, she's like, I had no idea that was even a concern. Especially in that age group. The hormones are changing, and this is their first time also with the son. My daughter's own experience is very different. So that was something that was really helpful. So I think those workshops.
Something that I found value in growing up was always like seeing when the parents are like seeing as their role models, when the parents are in liturgical services in church and services in general. Like it affects the child a lot. And to speak on how that's applicable as a servant, I think something that's important. Like a lot of times as servants, we're trying to encourage the kids to come, let's say, to Trasbaja or do or sometimes there's like a high school liturgy thing and whatnot. They're always like liturgical service. I think a really important one is to encourage the parents to actually come and attend, even if they're standing further back. But for me, like seeing my parents always attend whatever liturgy that they can, anything that they can, it encouraged me when I was growing up to kind of follow in their footsteps, even if they never forced me to come. They would be like, "You want to come to liturgy with me for them?" Sure,
The curriculum, when we talk about curriculum development, we have to remember that this is for the parents as well, right? Many of us have parents who grew up in the church, and we grew up in the church because they grew up in the church. And we'll talk about this next week. Who is in your class, right? And in your class, there are kids whose parents may have never come to church or are not involved and don't serve. And how do we service all these kids, knowing that they all have different backgrounds? We're not sure what that noise is at all. It's not.
The sunset looks pretty.
What's that?
The sunset.
Okay.
Look how the sun is doing.
Sorry. Continue.
We'll talk this real quick. We'll take a break in a couple of minutes. Been sitting for a long time. the needs, so we've already talked about it, it's a great segue. What are the needs of the kids? And the needs of the kids change, right? The needs of the kids today are different than the needs, many are the same, but there are specific needs that are different, right? People talk to me when they hear them about high school principal, what's the first question what do they say? What's their first comment? If they say, hear my high school principal, what's their comment? What do you think? Oh, how do you deal with the kids today? Oh, they must be horrible, right? That's the first thing I get, right? And I'll tell you, like, today's kids are awesome. They are amazing. The world around them is garbage, right? The world around them is more garbage than when we were kids, right? They have a devil in their back pocket. We didn't have that, right? We didn't have access to garbage in our back pocket 24/7, right? They do. Their struggles are different, and I would argue the struggles are worse, right? And the fact that they are awesome talks about how resilient they are. But we have to know their needs. We have to ask their needs. And the idea of asking for anonymous questions to know what they're struggling with, right? Because our Sunday school lessons have to be relevant to them. And knowing what the prodigal son is super important. Knowing what the sower of the seeds is super important. Knowing about sexting and sending naked pictures is super important, right? Knowing about online predators is super important, right? We have to teach them the relevance of today. They have to know, right? This is from 4 years ago, but the example of, what is it? 60% of girls have sent a naked picture. 60% of girls have sent a naked picture, right? If you have a class of 20 girls, do the math, right? I'm not sure if that's still recent, if that's new, but this was a few years ago, right? We have to look at what's trending now and hit that in Sunday school when the kids are with us, right? Online presence is a super important thing, right? What are they putting on their social media? What are they saying on the internet? Because in 10 years from now, when they're asking for a job, it might bite them, right? Super, super important. What is your online presence? It needs to be talked about in Sunday school because it will bite them. If a post from now never goes away, and they get that in school sometimes, but they need a Christian perspective as well, right? So first thing, we have to ask them what they're struggling with. We also have to know what they're struggling with. We have to find answers of questions because sometimes they may not tell us, right? We may not know, they may not bring forward some of the struggles we know are in our world today, right? So it's important for us to know what those are and to make those topics in Sunday school. All right? The whole thing about your body, you can do it if you think it's okay, right? It's okay to masturbate. It's okay to watch porn. It's okay. That's what the world tells them. That is what they come into church thinking is normal. We have to change that mindset because that's not getting at school, public or Catholic, public or Catholic schools. They're not getting that, right? They're getting that it's okay to experiment. All right, because people lack the. And I'll tell you, and sorry, it's a little bit of an aside. Being a principal in a public system, teachers want to say the right thing, but they're afraid to. They want to.
Why are they afraid?
Because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. Right? If I say that, if I say anything against transgender, or if I say anything against masturbation, or if I say anything against, if you think it, then you should be okay with that. We're in a world where if you think it, it's okay. That's kind of where we are right now. If I have this thought, I should be okay with that thought. And people are afraid to say, no, if you think it, that doesn't mean that it's right. Right? And we in Sunday school have to talk about the truth. And the truth is the Bible. And the truth is the teaching of God. Right? And there are teachers that will say it, but many are afraid. Because they're afraid that it'll go against the common narrative these days. And I don't want to speak too much, and it is, the pendulum is swinging back. It went very, very far. We're coming back to a more normalized, as in it's not okay, but we're not there yet. But we're coming back to this idea of no, if you think you're a bunny, you're not a bunny. We're coming back to that now. where for a while we weren't. All right, sorry, that's a little bit of an aside, but in Sunday school, we have to know these things, we have to teach them directly. We have to use the terms. Do not send a naked picture of yourself if you're a boy too, but it's a girl problem. And you have to say that to your kids, starting in grade 5, because that's when it starts. Just so we're clear. All right, do not send naked pictures of yourself. It needs to be said in Sunday school. Right? Messages like that. All right, and you can ask chat. It'll tell you what are struggles that my grade 6 girls are struggling with right now in the world. And it'll give you a list of issues, right? As a Coptic Orthodox Sunday school teacher, what are the struggles that my kids are struggling with? See what it brings up. Ask Abuna, because here's the confessions. They'll tell you what they're struggling with. All right, super important. So this is just questions you can ask the kids. What are you interested in? What issues are you facing? What questions do you have? What are your gifts and abilities? This is what we should be asking our kids. We can send out a Google form that's anonymous, or you can put it on paper because sometimes they don't trust that it's anonymous, right? Because you can say it's anonymous, and not believe you. Put it in paper, have them write down, put it in a box, and that'll give you an idea of what you put in your curriculum, right? What are the best things about youth group, about church? What things would you change if you could? What things you enjoy? What would you prefer we do not do again? What things would stop you from bringing your friends? Great question, right? What things would encourage you to invite your friends? Right, we're talking about mission statements. We're talking about mission work, right? Bringing a friend to church is actually mission work. You're literally bringing someone to Christ, right? What can we do to encourage you to bring your friends? How can I support you in accepting Israel youth ministry? What things would most help you grow as a Christian? Spiritually, this is page 11, I think. Page 11 in programming. How to fulfill spiritual. So these are to know to do these. You can read them on your own, right? But these are how to fulfill. These are the spiritual needs of the kids, right? To understand the doctrine of God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So they should know that. There's a list of them. To make how to make a commitment to one's life to Christ. You'll see them there. To be growing in your relationship with Christ. Read them on your own. Let's take a 5-minute break. And we'll come back and talk about Bible study. All right? So you want to finish by 5, maybe 5:10. That's okay. 5-minute break, come back.
Coffee?
What's the score? It's 2-1.
2-1? What's not interesting? We should check it out. I don't know.
You smell really good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Bible study. Bible study is one of the things again that we do often. We want to talk about how to do a proper Bible study. So again, this is the basic. How do we do a story? But it's also how to prepare a lesson in general. All right. So we're talking Bible study today, but we want to talk also about any general lesson. We're going to talk about general lesson prep, and we're going to do it quickly in 10 minutes. See how we do. All right. But Bible study specifically, just some words about the Bible. We're over 1,500 years, about 40 authors. One central message: God, who created us, desires a relationship with us. That is the general message of the Bible. The Bible, in and of itself, is miraculous. It is a miracle in and of itself. The prophecies are miraculous, right? As a historical document, it is the most scrutinized historical document in the history of existence, and it has never failed any test. Every single event either has been proven to exist or hasn't been disproven. Every place, every person, right, has been proven to exist or has not been disproven, if that makes sense. So all the people they talk about are found in other historical documentation, and all the events tend to be found in other historical documentations, all right? So as a book, it is known to be the most scrutinized and the most accurate of any book ever made. Good? This is a little side piece. The purpose of Bible study is on page 20 of MYP. We'll go over that later. But the purpose of Bible study, there's four purposes when we do Bible study. There's four things we do, right? The first is an observation, right? What is the text saying, right? What significant truths are being taught and by whom, and what is the context? Context is important because sometimes if you read it and don't understand the context of the time, it may be misinterpreted, right? So if the message, we have to talk about the context, especially if the message is something that that may be controversial, right? Like the message that we read every wedding where the husband laughs at the wife and the wife should stay silent and all that, the man is the head of the household and all that business, right? What is the context? What does it mean? What is the actual lesson? All right, especially with something controversial, right? What does the text mean? What is the cultural and historical background? So what it's talking about. All right, historical background of what is being taught. All right, what is the significance of the text for me? How does it relate to my life? A lot of Christ's parables and a lot of the messaging deals with either farmers or fishermen or very low income people. A lot of the stories, right? There are some that talk about the rich man, prodigal sons about a rich man, but he's talking to the people that were in his earshot, who he was talking to. He was talking mainly to the lay people and the tradespeople, mainly. And that's why the stories he picked were relevant to them. Right? As we talked about the sowers or the farmers, talked about the fishermen. And so people that were in the audience could understand, but we know from the parables that they apply to all of us. All right. And there's many, many different things that we can take from all the stories. Application. How can the text be applied in my life? What do I need to do in order to put it into practice? Why did I bold that? Why? Yes.
Mission.
Mission. Right? Well, mission is what? It is, it is mission, application. What else? If I do, wait, sorry, who said that? Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, that's basically it. Right? If I do the first three and there's no practical application, what am I? Why am I even teaching? Right? How does it apply to my life or to the life of the kids that I'm teaching? All right. What are they leaving with? Right? When we finish our prayer and they leave, what are they leaving with they didn't have before? All right. If you do a Bible study and they don't leave with something, then there was no purpose. All right. There has to be an application. Okay. I'm going to do a very quick Bible study with you because we're almost out of time. All right. What are those? Pirates. They're pirates. Anyone not know what a pirate is? Not know what a pirate is. Okay, good. All right. Some people might not. You have to ask that question. All right. In case someone doesn't know what a pirate is. You must know what a pirate is anyway. All right. What's this? Map. What kind of map? Special kind of map. It's a treasure map. A treasure map. What pirates do is they sail the seven seas and they loot and they get treasures, right? But they don't keep the treasures on their boat because other pirates can come and steal the treasures from their boat. So what they do is they take the treasures, put them in a chest, and they hide them somewhere. And they have a map to know where it is, right? So that when they want to retire from being pirates, they can go back and get their money and live their retirement lives in luxury. Yeah? Good? All right. So the pirate has his treasures, he buries it, and he leaves. And he goes and sails. He could be 3,000 miles away. But where's his mind? His mind's here. Right? No matter where he is in the world, what he's thinking about is, oh, I can't wait to get back to my treasure. Does that remind anyone of a verse in the Bible? Bible verses that might relate to this story of pirates. Any ideas? Something about treasures? Yeah.
I don't know the exact wording, but it's like do not make for yourselves treasures on earth. Then when, yeah.
There was a merchant who found he was treasure, so he sold everything that.
That's a different story, yes, right? He found out, was there a pearl or he found, no, the pearl was the fish. Yeah, he sold everything to buy the field with the treasure in it, right? How about this? Do you know they have for yourselves treasures in heaven? So on earth where moths and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal? Well, they have for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Right? And you could do a whole lesson on that. You can talk about the lamb, the lamp of the body is the eye. No one can serve two masters. Therefore, I say to you, do not worry about life. Very, very, very rich context. Many lessons. You can do a whole year's worth of lessons just on this alone, right? And all different applications, right? We're talking about laying for yourself treasures in heaven, right? And you can ask kids, depending on their age, what does it mean to lay treasures in heaven? You could ask that question to them. You could ask them to turn to each other. What are some treasures we have on earth that we are really, what are some treasures that I have in my life right now? Right? What are some things that I consider to be treasures? Right? You know, and depending on the age of the child, right? Is it my toy? Is it my car? Is it my video games? What are my treasures that I have? And what are they doing to prevent me from having treasures in heaven? Right? What are some ways that I can get treasures in heaven? And you can talk about if you bring a friend to church, that's bringing a treasure in heaven. If Sunday morning, instead of hitting snooze, I come to church, that's a treasure in heaven. And you can ask them to give you ideas of how are some ways we can build treasures in heaven. Right? And you can give them homework. Your homework for the week. Next week, I want you to come back and give me 3 things you did this week to help you lay treasures in heaven. 3 things over the week. And you can talk to them what those are. And you can say to them, what is one thing you can do this week to have treasures in heaven? Right? And it could be as simple as I'm going to read my Bible every night. I'm going to do it before I'm dead tired. I'm going to do it after dinner instead of at 11 at night. So I'm actually awake and alert when I'm reading it. That's treasures in heaven. Right? I may go to the homeless shelter. Treasure in heaven. Right? I may come to the Tasbih on Saturday night. That's a treasure in heaven. You can give them these things, and then they leave now with something that they're going to do to apply what was taught. Get the idea? Right? That was a very, very simple, quick lesson. And so I want you to take this when you do any lesson at all. This is how you prepare any lesson about any topic. You use it for Bible study, but the book, and the talk. This is in your books. Right on the page. Youth Ministry, it's MYP page 31. I'm sure no, sorry, that's an activity. She's on page 30. Give me on page 31. We're gonna do one at a time. So do your homework. But the idea of this is the 4 stages of Bible study, but I'm saying this is the 4 stages of any lesson. Any lesson. A hook, a book, a look, and a took. What's the hook? In my lesson, I say, what was the hook? It's a pirate. What's the purpose of a hook? What's the purpose? Why are they in Sunday school? Why do they come every Friday or Saturday or Sunday? Why do they come? In all honesty, why do they come? Majority of them.
Their parents.
Their parents force them and for their friends. That's why they're there. Right? There are a few, 10% of them, who actually are there because they all want to be there, but to learn and really be a part of the lesson activity and really be a part of the application of the lesson, maybe 10%. Right? They're there for their friends and their parents. Right? And they're not there to listen to you speak. So there has to be some kind of hook to bring them in. Right? This is a very juvenile one. Right? This is for little kids. Mine works for high school kids too, because they get involved with this stuff just as much. Right? But the hook can be a story, can be a song, can be a video, right? Something to bring them in and get them in education, what we call a learning stance, right? Get them into the mode of learning, right? That's the hook. And again, it can be many things. A personal story is fine. Personal stories, I just want to talk about personal stories really, really quick. You don't want to hear personal stories of how maybe you have fallen. As in, when I was your age, I struggled with. Don't be sharing stuff like that. All right? Why not?
Because they look.
They normalize the action.
They normalize the action. Well, if they did it, then so did I, and then so can I, right? You are, and we all struggle. We all have our mountains and our dragons that we struggle with. In Sunday school, you are a model perfect person. All right? You don't share your struggles with your kids, you share them with Abuna. Right? So you can say, right, many people struggle with, or some struggle with this. You don't use I or me. You also don't talk about how good you are either. When I was your age, I went to church every week. No, not that either. Right? Why not? Any idea?
Because then you become like out of reach for them. Like you run unattainable goals.
It's prideful and yeah, we are just neutral. All right? We can share stories. Sharing stories about yourself are amazing hooks. Amazing hooks. If you can tell stories, right? When I was young, I played soccer, and I did this, and you can talk about a story that has some minimal relevance to the story that you're talking about, right? But personal stories are fantastic, but they're not about shortfalls and they're not about me being great. Okay, keep that in mind. But they are excellent because it's also sharing stories about you growing up also normalizes you with the kids as well, right? Because like again, in Sunday school you are a teacher, right? And teachers to kids are not human, right? You need to humanize yourself, and that's why telling stories is great, and that's why going out and doing things outside of Sunday school classic trips and things are great because it normalizes you to the child, and then they'll be more willing to share things with them. Share struggle with you. All right. So there has to be a hook. What's the book? The Bible. There has to be a Bible reading in every single lesson you do, independent of the topic. Right? If the topic is masturbation, you have to have a Bible verse in there somewhere. You have to have the Bible verse every single time. Right? That may be the only time that week that the child is exposed to the Bible. Right? Every single week there needs to be a Bible verse. All right? What's the look? Yeah. Yeah.
The discussion, like the life and beauty.
Yeah, that's okay. We read it. What does it mean? How does that apply to our lives, to this lesson, to what it is we're talking about? Right? So there's a hook, there's a book, there's a look. Right? What's the application and what's the took? Application. What they leave with. Yeah, what are they leaving with? They have to leave with something, right? And I do it easy, I give them homework. Because I know now that they have something they're leaving with. We want them to leave with an idea, right? That's something that maybe makes them think or learn, right? We also want to leave them with some kind of thing to apply over the week or over their life, whatever it is, right? We don't want to assume they know what the application is, right? And you can ask, what did you learn this week? What did you take from this talk? You can ask that question, right? Okay, we've been here for half an hour. We've had this discussion. What do you take? What's your takeaway? You can ask that, right? Or you can say to them, the takeaway is this, right? Every single lesson should have these four, right? In our fourth week, you're going to be doing one of these for me as a final evaluation, so that you know. I'm going to give you a bit something to talk about. You have to create a lesson for me, all right? But that is, again, this talks about Bible study, but I'm saying every lesson should have these four components. Has to have these four components. Has to. All right? Any questions? Next week, we're going to be doing from design 4 and 5 and chapter 3 from youth ministry programming. Okay? Part of it is there's going to be some group work and some presenting in the first part. Then we're going to talk about prayer. And we pray together, letting you know from now. We'll do some prayer. We'll see where the Spirit leads us. All right? Okay. Yes, 10 after 5. We're done. Next week, starting at 5 o'clock. Be on time. Pardon? Thursday 5?
I thought it was Thursday at 3.
5? 3. Who said 5? That's better. I said 3. I said 3 o'clock. Be here on time, please. 3 o'clock. I think it's in here again, yeah? In here. Right? 3 o'clock. Thanks, everyone.
I was like, you know.
We'll meet here.
And I'm over.